3 movies in 1 year, and none of them are Gambit. Come on, Fox, give me a break here. Hey guys, Carla here, and today I'm going back to my favorite comic book series of all time, and that is the X-Men. But I'm gonna talk about the movies because there have been a lot of news coming out from the Fox side of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I guess. It's not really all together, but Fox has the rights to everything X-Men, everything mutant, so they have been making a lot of announcements recently, and as I love the X-Men so much, and I want to see Fox make more X-Men movies, I'm really excited to hear that they're moving forward with things, so I'm gonna talk about that today. The main part of these announcements, of course, were on the side of the movies. Last year we had Deadpool and X-Men Apocalypse. Deadpool did really well, X-Men Apocalypse not so much. Now, I've already made my feelings clear about X-Men Apocalypse. I actually quite liked the movie. If you haven't seen my review for that, please check it out. But now, Fox has announced that they're not going to make 1 movie, they're not going to make 2 movies, they're going to make 3 movies next year, as in 3 X-Men movies, which is something that I might be wrong with this, because as you know, I have all the memory of a chicken, but I think even Marvel Studios hasn't put out 3 Marvel movies a year, so this is quite the undertaking, and it's not the first time Fox has actually done something like this. Like a few years back, I think it was 2015 or something, they announced that they would actually be releasing 3 movies a year, and that included the Gambit movie, which, much to my perennial disappointment, never happened. So in the end, they couldn't do it. And now next year they say they are going to do it. The movies actually have release dates, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they actually know what they're doing and they're not getting in over their heads. I like Fox. I like what they've done with their movies. The ones that are good are really good. The ones that are not so good are probably really sucky. Wolverine Origins. But I still trust them overall. I think they know the characters. They know what to do with the characters, so this whole bullshit of, like, send the X-Men back to Marvel is just not my thing. I don't agree with that. So I'm glad that they're actually doing stuff with these characters since they own them. I worry, though, that maybe they're pushing things too fast. Because 3 movies in 1 year when none of them have started shooting yet, and how much time did you even have to write the screenplays? Like, it makes me nervous, but at the same time it makes me excited because I want to see these characters be done in the big screen. I think the X-Men universe, the mutant universe, is so huge and has so many characters that it's kind of a disservice to it to not use them and to always go back to the same characters over and over again. So I'm glad that they're expanding. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they actually know what they're doing and it's not just, oh, movies, 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 we need money, money, money. So that's how I preface this video, with utmost hope that Fox is actually going to do the right thing. Because otherwise my heart will break and I will cry for the rest of 2018. Anyway, so the first movie that they've announced that they're going to release next year is actually a New Mutants movie. The New Mutants is going to be directed by Josh Boone, who directed The Fault in Our Stars, which I liked it. It was an okay movie. It's not my favorite movie of all time or anything, but I think Josh Boone knows how to pull the emotions out. So, I mean, the movie was well received for the most part, so I'm good with him as a director. I think the YA vibe he might bring to this would actually really help with the New Mutants movie, because the New Mutants movie is all about being teenagers, basically. Being mutant teenagers on top of everything. So I'm good with him as a director. And 2 cast members have officially been announced already. It had been rumored for a long time that Anya Taylor-Joy and Maisie Williams would actually be in the movie, but it was just recently confirmed. which is great because I haven't seen much of Anya. Personally, I know she was in Split, but I didn't watch that movie because horror. But I hear great things about her, so I'm excited. I'm really excited that she's going to play Magic. I wonder how they're going to deal with that because we already have Colossus in the X-Men universe. We've had him a couple of times played by a couple different people, and Magic is his little sister, so I'm wondering if they're going to even touch upon that. I guess they shouldn't, unless they want to change her name or something. I don't know. But also her powers are really, magical. It's gonna be interesting how they're going to portray that. But I'm really excited about Maisie Williams though, because I love her in Game of Thrones. I think she's great. She's grown so much as an actress since that show began. And I think she would be a kick-ass Wolfsbane. I love her. I think she's going to be amazing. It tickles my fangirl spirit that we're gonna have Macy and Sophie Turner in the same franchise. Even though they're not exactly in the same movie, they're in the same franchise, and it makes me feel happy. Because I love them both so much from Game of Thrones, so that's really interesting. What I'm wondering is when this movie is going to take place, because we know that Deadpool is more or less in the present. It was taking place in 2016-ish. Then you have Logan in the future in 2029, I think it was. But then the main continuity of the X-Men movies is coming from the past, so they're still stuck in the 80s. In theory, the next X-Men main continuity movie should take place in the 90s. I'm not sure about New Mutants though. I would hope that they are keeping it in the present, but then I would never get the reunion between Macy and Sophie that I want so much, so that would suck. I'm conflicted about this. I really am. And there's rumors out there that they might be bringing in James McAvoy to play Xavier in New Mutants, in which case it would technically mean that it's in the past. So I don't know what they're doing. It would be really weird if Xavier wasn't in the movie. So either they bring in McAvoy or they come back to Stewart, but Stewart already said that that Logan was going to be his last movie. So how are they going to work that in? I guess that it's going to be taking place in the same continuity as the X-Men movies have so far. The every 10 years we take a huge time leap continuity. I don't know, maybe it'll be in the 80s, so it's like distinctly around the same time that X-Men Apocalypse took place. I don't know, I'm just guessing. But if they want to have McAvoy in it, I guess that's what it's going to have to be. I don't know, I guess we'll see when they start filming, because usually X-Men directors are good about, keeping fans' attention peaked through like Instagram and stuff like that. So maybe if we see them in costume or see some of the sets or whatever, we'll figure out when exactly this movie's taking place. But my best guess right now is that it will probably be around the 80s or 90s, simply because you need McAvoy in that movie. So I don't know. The next movie that's coming out after that, which now has a release date of June 1st, 2018, is Deadpool 2. Deadpool 2, as you know, was basically announced in the post-credits sequence of Deadpool 1. We knew Cable was going to be in it. Now we know that Cable is going to be played by Josh Brolin, which I'm okay with. I tend to not like actors crossing over from one superhero franchise to another, because my brain just locks them into character. I had a really hard time, for example, when it came to Captain America, because for me Chris Evans was the Human Torch, and I had a really hard time getting that out of my mind. By now I'm used to it. I see him more as Captain America than I did as the Human Torch, simply because he's been in more movies as Captain America, so I can get used to it. And with Josh Brolin, I don't really get that attachment necessarily, because Thanos is mostly CGI. So I don't really see Josh Brolin when I'm looking at Thanos. So maybe I'll have an easier time with this one. I like him. I like Josh Brolin. I think he's an incredible actor. I think he's going to do great as Cable, so I'm excited for that. It's also been revealed that Zazie Beetz is going to play Domino. I don't know anything about Zazie Beetz. I haven't really seen anything she's in. I hear she's from Atlanta, which I haven't seen, but I hear she's good. I'm okay with her. She looks great. I'm sure, you know, with makeup and costume, she'll look even better. So I'm all for that, and I love this idea that superhero movies can be sort of a jumping point for actors that haven't really had very popular roles up to now to actually be pushed into the mainstream. So I'm all for Zazie being Domino. I can't wait to see especially that chemistry between her and Brolin, because Cable and Domino, they have to have a good chemistry, and just see Brolin play serious guy to Deadpool's asshole Joker. You know what I mean? I'm really looking forward to it, and just to see the two of them be the jumping point toward an X Factor franchise of its own. So that'll be interesting. And then after that, we have that there will be a Dark Phoenix movie coming out on November 2nd, 2018, which apparently is going to be directed by Simon Kinberg, who's been a producer in all the X-Men movies up to date. I don't know how to feel about that necessarily, because Kinberg he's a writer, he's a producer. I don't think he's directed anything before, or maybe nothing this big, of course. And while I do think he's a good producer, and I do think he's a good writer, he's produced all the X-Men movies, and that includes the bad ones. So I guess the record is kind of mixed when it comes to Kinberg, and I don't know if he's ready to write a project of this magnitude necessarily. And I think this is the one that makes me the most nervous as far as the timing goes, because this is not just any X-Men movie, okay? This Dark Phoenix might be the most well-known X-Men storyline of all time. It's kind of the holy grail of X-Men, if you get what I mean. And I don't want them to rush it. If there's any movie out of these three that I would hope that they pushed forward a little bit, it would be Dark Phoenix, because we already saw them mess this one up once. I don't want that to happen again just because Fox is rushing things, which is what happened with The Last Stand, let's face it. It really scares me. I've mentioned in the past that I don't want Dark Phoenix to happen now. I think for Dark Phoenix, you need to be invested in the characters, and I don't think we got enough of the young cast of Jean and Scott and Kurt and those characters in X-Men Apocalypse to be enough invested in what happens to them so that Dark Phoenix can happen now. I think you give that a little bit more development, maybe tease it during a second movie, and then you end it on the third one, which would hopefully be the culmination of the Dark Phoenix saga. As soon as I watched X-Men Apocalypse and that ending, I told myself, they're going to rush Dark Phoenix and it's going to be terrible. I don't want them to do Dark Phoenix now. So when this news was announced, I was actually really upset, because I was like, oh, they're just going Dark Phoenix because they need a big name. They need something big, basically. And it's not fair. I don't think they've had enough time to write a good screenplay yet. We don't even have a director confirmed. I think they're rushing it, and it really scares me. Now, this has nothing to do with the characters or the cast. I actually really love young Jean and young Scott and young Kurt especially, and Jubilee. I love them. They were my favorite part of the movie, and I want to see more of them just being them before they go into this dark Phoenix. Scott and Jean aren't even together yet. That's like the emotional core of the entire thing. Why? It's unbelievable to me, and it really scares me that Fox is rushing this again. They could have done anything else before Dark Phoenix, and then you end the series with a Dark Phoenix movie that will actually have us all be invested in it. And it really scares me. I'm willing to give him the benefit of a doubt. Like I said, I like Kinberg. If he ends up directing it, I'll be up for it. I'm willing to give him a try. and I like the cast. I'm really concerned that they're rushing the writing, that they're going to rush the filming, and that they're going to rush the ending, and it's going to end up being a movie where half of the thing is just some insane, ridiculous battle like Apocalypse was, that just nobody's engaged with. I don't want that to happen. I want them to do Dark Phoenix right. Please, we've been begging for a good Dark Phoenix movie since The Last Stand came out. Don't rush it, Fox. If you have to push this one back, if you have to switch gears and just make a different movie before you go into Dark Phoenix, do it. And I know you're not listening to me because you never listen to anybody, but please, this is the quintessential X-Men storyline. Don't ruin it a second time. Please, God. I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm cautiously optimistic here, but really freaking terrified at the same time. You'll hear from me again when trailers start coming out. I think Sophie Turner has said that they're going to start filming later this year, which means that they're probably going to be filming the 3 movies at the exact same time and working on post for the 3 movies at the exact same time, which is insane. I mean, New Mutants comes out in April, and right now we're only starting to get casting announcements. They haven't even started filming, it's already made. It's less than a year away. I'm deathly afraid that they're rushing this. And I trust them, I trust the properties, I think they can make great movies with them, but God, please let them not be rushing this. If they have to move something, please move it. Anything you have to do to ensure that these movies are actually good. Please, Fox, I beg you. Apart from the movies, though, we also had a trailer come out this week for the upcoming X-Men TV show that Fox is producing. It's called The Gifted. It's going to be directed by Bryan Singer, who directed the first 2 X-Men movies and Days of Future Past and X-Men Apocalypse. He's basically the one who created the X-Men universe, so I trust him implicitly in anything, and I know people are kind of mad at him after Apocalypse, but I'm not one of them, so I'm good with him directing. I think, especially if they're planning to actually link the movies to this show, that would be interesting, because we just had Legion, and Legion kind of stands on its own universe, I guess. I mean, it might not in the future, they might link it in the future, but as of now, there's not really much of a connection other than the fact that, you know, who David is, basically. At least those who read the comics know who David is. But apart from that, there's really no relationship with the movies. I think The Gifted might actually go a bit farther in actually linking the TV show to the movies. And we had a trailer this week. The trailer looks interesting. It doesn't have a lot of plot in it, but it looks good. I was actually surprised that they actually had the special effects this far advanced in a show that basically was filming like 2 months ago. So that was interesting. But even then, at least from the quick summary they put out already on the internet, it sounds like an interesting thing. It's basically a show about these 2 kids who turn out to be mutants, whose parents, we saw from the trailer that the dad actually works someplace where they actually put mutants in jail, or people like them in jail, or I don't know what exactly that means, people like them, if it's mutants or if it's just that they did something and they're considered criminals or something, whatever, I don't know. But this guy, the dad, is actually against mutants, I guess, but then it turns out his 2 kids are mutants, and so him and the mom have to sort of take them into this underground community to keep them safe. And the premise sounds really interesting. I don't think we saw any of that in the trailer though, so it was very like, this is a good scene, this is a good scene, this is a good scene, but there wasn't a lot of continuity to the trailer. There wasn't a lot of story line to the trailer, so it'll be interesting to see more of it as time goes on. I know this show is going to premiere in fall, of course, in effect. I don't know if it's Fox or if it's FX, but one of the two. But it looks interesting. I like the connections that they make already from the trailer with the X-Men universe in general. Jamie Chung, of course, plays Blink. I was really happy to hear that, because I love Jamie Chung. I think she's a great actress, and I don't think she's gotten the roles that she deserves, honestly. But I like her, and I like that Blink is in the TV show, because we had her in Days of Future Past, but she was basically cannon fodder. You know, the X-Men movies have a lot of that, of just cool mutants that they throw at you, tip of the hat to comic book fans, but they don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. They're just fighting. They're just there to look cool. So Blink was that. I hope that in the TV show she actually gets a bit more to do. I like that they have Thunderbird in there. Yay for Native American representation. That's always good. But the part that actually made me the most excited from the trailer is that they actually mentioned Lorna. And if you've read the comics, you know who Lorna is. Lorna is Polaris. Polaris! I love Lorna most of the time. She was really annoying in Wolverine and the X-Men, but apart from that, I actually really love Lorna. I love the connection that she has. Maybe that's kind of the sneaky way where they're going to connect with the movies, because Lorna, in case you didn't know, is actually the daughter of Magneto. And she has his same powers of magnetism and just controlling magnetism and metals. And it's good that they mentioned her by name specifically. I don't know much about the actress who's portraying her, but I like that she's going to be in the movie, because we haven't seen her in the movies before, because obviously in the movie you always have Magneto, so having two people with the same power would kind of be weird. So I understand why they kept away from Lorna, but it's good to see her in a TV show, especially since you're not going to have Magneto in the TV show. As far as the family itself, I don't know anything about the actors. I love Amy Acker, so that's good. I'm not entirely sure what her role is going to be other than being afraid for her kids, I guess. The powers that the kids have seem very interesting, because the way the girl described her own power, it seems almost like she's able to manipulate molecules of stuff in order to make them solid. That would be really cool. I know that in the trailer it seemed like she was sort of creating a force field. What if it's not a force field? What if it's an air field? Like a solid air field protective shield, I guess. That would be really cool. But I want to see more, because it's not entirely clear what it is. The kid, he seems to... Actually, he reminded me a little bit of Quake from Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Daisy from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in that he started using his powers and everything would shake. That was weird. But then it seems like he bends those metal tubes, so does he have magnetic powers too? I think that would be overkill, given that you already have Lorna in the show, so I would assume it's not that. Is he telekinetic? What is he doing? Can he just make stuff vibrate? That would be interesting. Like Quake. So that would be cool. So yeah, I thought the trailer was good. It just didn't really tell us much about what the show is about. But we have a few months to go still. I mean, we have the entire summer to go still until the show actually premieres. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see more from it. So hopefully in future trailers we'll get a bit more of what's actually going on. I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that Blink and Thunderbird and Polaris, they're all part of this like underground community somehow. It really made me cheer when they mentioned the X-Men and they mentioned the Brotherhood, which is really interesting because I don't think we've heard about the Brotherhood in the movies. Maybe in The Last Stand, but as you know, I put that movie out of my mind already. So we've never really heard of the Brotherhood, but they're such a big thing in the comics that it's kind of strange that we've never heard about it in the movies. It's good that we're hearing about them in the show. It really made me cheer when they said it, and it made me freak out when they mentioned the name Lorna. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of this show. I'll definitely be giving it a chance come fall. Hopefully it's good. Again, I am crossing my fingers that Fox has actually got its shit together and they're actually doing well with both the movies and this TV show, because, guys, we need this X-Men universe to be good. Let's face it. Please. Please, Fox. Just do things right. That's basically it. And that's about it for me today. I'm still not entirely sure what I'm going to talk about next week, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, if you have any suggestions of topics that you want me to talk about, anything geeky, be it TV, movies, books, anything like that, If I know anything about it, if I have any knowledge about it, I'll make sure to add it to my list of videos to make in the future. Just drop it in a comment and I'll be sure to do that. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you like my stuff, please subscribe to my channel. I am always happy to hear from you guys, to see you liking and sharing and commenting. I love that. I love interacting with you guys, so please keep at it. You can find me on social media. I am on Twitter and Instagram at girlsareweird with underscores between the words, and I am on Tumblr at girlsareweird with hyphens between the words. You can find a Facebook page for this vlog at facebook.com/FreakingNarnia, and as always, you can visit my main website at FreakingNarnia.com. All my videos are up there in case you need to catch up for any reason. Please be sure to visit my Redbubble store where I make art for my favorite quotes from my favorite fandoms, and then you can use that art to print on t-shirts and coffee cups and computer covers and stuff like that. It's all really cool, so please stop by and maybe purchase something while you're at it. Also, don't forget, you can look up this vlog in podcast form over at iTunes and Stitcher under the title Talks from Freaking Narnia. So I'll be updating that. I only have a couple of episodes up as of now, but I will be updating that in the future until we're all caught up. So in case it's better for you to actually listen to this as a podcast, please have that in mind. And that's about it for me today. I will see you guys next week with another talk from all the way in freaking Narnia. Bye! Who directed The Fault in Our Stars pull things out of his actors, and I think she would be a kick-ass Wolfsbane by what's his name? I forgot his name.